Has this ever happened to you? You completely mix up your kids' activity schedule. For example, my daughter's musical theater rehearsal got pushed to start half an hour earlier at 4 o'clock. I changed it on the calendar. And what time did I bring her to her rehearsal? Anyone? 4:30. She was half an hour late. And I felt awful about it. Like, probably way too awful. There's no amount of scheduling hacks or productivity tips that are going to make us error free. What we need to do instead is change the story when it happens. So instead of what's wrong with me, or I failed, I'm so unreliable, etc., change the story and say, I'm carrying a lot. I made a mistake. Make it about the action, the situation, not about your character or your identity. So I want to see how my neurodivergency was affecting how deeply I take these kind of mistakes and understand it a little better. So that's what today's video is about. Part one, what is actually happening? What is it about parenting and juggling all these schedules that makes it a very specific and difficult demand on our brains and our bodies? Parenting requires you to constantly hold time, locations, transitions, emotional needs, social expectations, etc., 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 not just your own, but of all your kids and all the little communities they're part of and you're part of all at once. And you're doing this all while you're being interrupted, exhausted, rushed, really not a quiet moment to yourself. And there's a lot going on. And basically, your nervous system is never really neutral or at rest. For a lot of neurodivergent moms, our systems are in overload. And just some examples, because neurodivergent is not a diagnosis, right? It's a spectrum, as we know. But if we wanted to take some examples of neurodivergency for ADHD leaning type of nervous system, it could look like working memory overload, time blindness, task switching fatigue. If you're more on the autistic nervous system spectrum, disruption to expected plans can cause extreme distress, right? And transitions can be really hard. And for our highly sensitive profiles, deep feelers, anything with emotional weight, some like relational pressure makes things extra hard to move through. So, guess what parenting is? Relational pressure. And I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, but just through my own research and learning that for neurodivergent people, there's just different reasons why all the demands of parenting is extra hard. And when we mess up on this, that really makes a lot of the ways we've been coping and masking super hard to sustain. Part two, why the emotional reaction feels so big. Whether you're neurodivergent or not, these things happen as a parent, right? You're gonna mix up a schedule. You're gonna pick someone up late or drop someone off early or something like that. You're gonna mix things up and it's normal. And it happens. And you know intellectually, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's a logistical error. But for the nervous systems of neurodivergent people, especially those of us that are realizing that we're neurodivergent later in life, meaning we've been masking and continue to mask throughout a lot of our experiences, this mistake becomes this threat to our identity and our competence and just like makes us question what is wrong with us. It's evidence that something is wrong with us. Like, I can't do this. I can't do regular life. I can't handle this. It goes far beyond, oh, I forgot the schedule. Oops, like that sucks. It could happen. It becomes, of course, I forgot the schedule. I'm so bad at this kind of stuff. I'm not good at being a mom. I'm not good at managing schedules. Now my daughter's missing out and it's all my fault and blah, 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 blah. Like it just spins out, right? And it's not that we're trying to be over dramatic. It's that there's been so many times when we're masking that we've been struggling and wondering what is wrong with us, that whenever something like this happens, it becomes more of like a pattern recognition. Like, oh, there it is again. There's me doing something wrong. There's me being broken. And it becomes a bigger identity issue or crisis than it really is. Like, that's not even what's actually happening, but our brains are telling us that because we're used to feeling like that. And we've been trying so hard to hide parts of ourselves because we thought something's wrong with us for so long. So, part three, changing the story. There's no amount of like scheduling hacks or productivity tips that are going to make us error free. Not trying to be negative here or anything. I just think as humans and all the stuff going on in our lives, even if you're not a parent, it's a lot to manage. And then later on, having a kid, two or three or more, it just is exponential. So I think it's not realistic to expect that you're never going to make a mistake like this again. What we need to do instead is change the story when it happens. Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? I failed. I'm so unreliable, etc., all that stuff. Change the story and say, I'm carrying a lot. I made a mistake. That's it. No other things, just like, I'm carrying a lot, I made a mistake. Make it about the action, the situation, not about your character or your identity. Just change that story. Whenever you come into this kind of situation and you feel your brain trying to tell you it's something about who you are that created this problem. So we're trying to separate impact from identity. And doing that consistently is one of the most stabilizing shifts that you could make in your mindset. And it's helped me so much, and I really want to share that with you all. So hopefully that resonated and you could remember to be kind to yourself and change the story the next time there's some sort of scheduling, logistical goof up that happens in the throes of modern parenting, because it is a lot and we were not designed to handle all these different things and universes and schedules simultaneously. But we're strong, resilient, and I know we can all rise to the occasion, but we have to be kind to ourselves when we make these goof ups. Cannot make them about our identity every time we forget something, because then it would be impossible, exhausting, and discouraging. Every time you make a mistake, it's something about your identity. Like, no, I reject that, and you should too. I hope that resonated, and if you found it helpful, feel free to like and subscribe as we continue exploring all the things we're learning along the way as people discovering later in life that we are neurodivergent.